So yeah, it's a good point. Since you missed, it's already 2:20. So let's do the problem set first. We can go over the ones you've missed.
Yes, because this class, like yesterday's class, yesterday's class, like I think I understood good. So
Good.
I
Okay. Yeah, if we have time, we can we will definitely go over some stuff. But let's do the problem set first, since we already missed 20 minutes of
okay.
class.
Perfect.
Okay, so the ones you missed, where I looked over the spreadsheet, and so you did pretty well, right? You got 11 out of 15, which is great. You seem like you're doing consistently well, which is nice. So the ones you missed were number 6, number 7, 8, and I think number 13. Yeah. Okay. So how did you feel about the problem set overall? Was it hard, easy, or you mostly understood, like, what was being asked of you?
Yeah, like I understood good, like in average of the problem set, but like some of them, like number 6, I just saw that, and like I just reading it, I didn't understand it, and like I was 5 minutes thinking about that, and like I finished like guessing that one because I didn't understand that.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that one. We briefly talked about this. I touched upon this yesterday when we were, doing, this graph with all the
Yeah,
different, levels of price.
yeah,
So number 6 is basically asking you the short run supply curve of a perfectly competitive farm. Like, what does that look like? Okay, so we can do it. Let's do it this way. So let's draw in the marginal cost curve, and I'm going to draw in the average total cost, and then below that I'm going to draw in the average variable cost.
yes.
Okay, and we had different levels of prices that we looked at, right? So one level of price was over here, which is where the P1 is located above your average total cost,
Yes.
right? So therefore, this is the profit maximizing quantity, as you see, is at the intersection. So if this is P1, we know that this is also equal to the demand, which is also equal to marginal revenue. So we know that perfect competitive farms choose their profit maximizing quantity by finding the intersection of where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and therefore this would be the quantity, right?
Yeah.
P1 Q1. Okay, and then we looked at other points, right? So like one point would be over here. What did we call this point? Where your price is at the minimum of the average total cost.
Total cost.
Yeah, so what is
At the at the maximum of the average variable cost.
not the maximum. So what do we call that point, when it's um at the minimum of average? What is special about that point, Max? That's what I'm asking.
About what point? This one.
Yeah, P2, like, what is special about that price?
No, like it is. I think that it is. I don't know. It is normal profit
Good, yeah, so it's normal profit, of course. And how do you know that?
because like all these red box, the total revenue, and the same as the average total cost. So like it is no gainings but not losing.
Okay, so you mean total cost, right? The area
Yeah,
of the total revenue is the same
yeah.
as total
The total
cost,
cost, yeah.
right? So that's why you have normal profit. So what I want you to understand here is that we know that price is equal to marginal revenue in perfect competition, but also marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So by you can also, like, deduce from here that price
Is equals to
marginal cost, right? So everywhere you notice, like you see that, price, the quantity, right? The Q1, we choose that quantity where, it's also equal to, price is equal to marginal cost, right? At Q2, it's the same, price is equal to marginal cost, right? So you see that, for a farm, what is supply really? It is supply for a farm is relating quantity to price, right?
Yeah.
And marginal cost is about, relating cost to quantity.
Yeah.
So then, what we saw here is that when we looked at this point, right, this P3,
Yeah.
which was at the
minimum of the average variable cost.
The minimum of the average variable cost. What did we call this point?
The shutdown, like you can shut down or stay like produced.
Right. So if you are exactly at this point, it's like we said that, it's up to you, because even if you produce at this point, your total revenue is equal to your total variable cost.
Yeah.
And therefore, you only have, you owe all of your fixed costs. And if you shut down, you still are going to owe all of your fixed costs. It's the same. Yeah. So it's up to you. But, this point is also interesting because, we said that this was the shutdown point. And what is, it tells us that, if the price is ever anything lower than this minimum point on the above, lower than the minimum, right, of the average variable cost, you're going to shut down, right?
Yes.
So if P4 was somewhere over here, right, Q4 would be over here, and here at P4 you would have to shut down immediately because you're not even going to be able to cover all of your variable costs. So what we see here is that they're not perfectly competitive farms are not going to even produce and sell unless they receive a price, right? Where?
A price above the average variable
Good.
cost.
So then, as you see, the supply curve, right, in the short run for perfectly competitive farm, okay, is gonna be that portion of the marginal cost curve that is above the minimum of that average variable cost curve.
Yeah, we saw that in the
yesterday, right? It's okay, you forgot about it, but so this would be the short run.
So it should be A, that it is above the average variable cost curve.
Yes, it's the portion of that short run marginal cost curve that is above the average variable cost curve. So, but you understand the logic behind this?
Yes.
Right? So, it's they're if how do I say this? Because price is equal to marginal cost also, and then price is equal to MR is equal to MC, price is equal to marginal cost. So therefore, you're basically moving along your marginal cost curve to determine your quantity, right?
Yeah.
So that's why your marginal cost curve is the supply curve. So that portion of the marginal cost curve, which is above the shutdown point, that is your short run supply curve. And this is only for perfect competition, because this part is only true in perfect competition, because price is only going to be equal to marginal revenue in perfect competition. And we'll see that this is never going to be the case with other types of markets that we see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then, let me get rid of these. Just let's see if I can delete these. Okay. Oh no, that didn't work. Okay. Maybe we can draw it over here. So let's see, can I at least erase this part? Okay, that worked. Great. So let's do number 7 over here. Okay. So number 7, it says that you have this table above, and you are given quantity for tons of rice, and then total cost in dollars per ton. for each of those quantities of rice, right? For 0 tons, 1 tons, 2 tons, what is the total cost? And then it's asking you, based on the table above, if rice sells for 600 per ton, what is the profit maximizing output, right? So they want to know, how much this company or this farm should produce if they wanted to maximize their profit. So what is the rule for finding out, how much to produce if you want to maximize profit?
Okay, so like the part I didn't understand is like if it is 600. So I don't know like how I should like go to 600 if the maximum, like if the minimum that it's on the table it's 1,000.
Okay, so let's clarify what this is and what this is, right? So this is if rice sells for 600 per ton. So what is that in essence? This is how much, so it's what is that really? If you are a seller and it's telling you if rice is selling for 600 per ton, what is that in our graph? Or like, isn't that price?
Yeah, price.
Yeah, so that's price. So it's telling you that price is equal to 600 per ton.
Yes.
And now what do we know price is also equal to in perfect computation?
Revenue.
Good. So then you know that marginal revenue is equal to 600 per ton. So now tell me, what is the rule for finding profit maximizing output? How do we choose quantity?
Okay, so for the profit maximization, it is marginal cost equal marginal revenue.
Good. So anytime, so this goes for all types of farms, okay? So I'm sorry, all types of markets. So you find profit maximizing quantity or output where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, correct?
Yeah.
So now do you think we have enough information so we know what we have to find? We have marginal revenue, we don't have marginal cost, right? But you have total cost. So do you think you could find marginal cost from there?
If I have total cost, yes, I can find
Good.
marginal.
So do it. So maybe you could do it over here. Like, let's see if I could get rid of this. Nope. No, that's not gonna work. So let me just erase this. Okay. So do you think you could like put another column to this side?
So and here it should be 2,200. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Here is 400. And then it's 600. And at the end is 800. Like that.
Yeah, so you're basically just finding the difference, right, in total cost, and because quantity is just changing by one. We know that this is so yeah, you got this, right? So marginal cost is just the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So the first one, of course, it doesn't exist. For the second one, it's 200. Then it's 400. Yes, 600, and then yes, 800. So then, where does at what quantity or at what output level does marginal revenue equal marginal cost?
So here is 600. Mm-hmm. So it's a three quantity, like
3 tons.
3 tons.
Right? At 3 tons, we see that this is where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, right, is equal to our marginal revenue.
Yeah, I know. I if I do it, it's easy, but always I like get complicated and like.
What is the process? So like, what really what happens? Like, how do you?
Like, I don't know. Like at first I see a question and I see that I don't know that it is at like the minimum price. It's 1,000. But now if I see that it's saying 600,
but it's not price, Max. Do you see? This is cost. That's totally different, right?
confused in the cost and the price.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to at least make sure that you understand those distinctions, right? That if I am, maybe like put yourself in the shoe of a business person, right? If you can sell for 600, that means that's your price, and then this is telling you about cost, right? Cost to produce that rice, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and always I told you about this, following this process, like look at the table, look at the question, think about what information is given to you, then you look at what it is that they're asking you to find, right? Sometimes it's not so clear, like here, that they're asking you about the profit maximizing output. Sometimes it's not so clear, then you're going to have to look at the answer choices to see what is it that they're really asking me to find, and then you go to figure out what is missing, like what am I going to have to find out, like what is the missing piece of information that I need to find in order to get to the answer. Okay, so that is the process. Okay, so number 8.
Okay, number 8. Based on the table above, the firm's total fixed cost of production is. Okay, so this part, like, I just see total fixed cost, and I didn't understand because it's telling me the total cost. I don't remember.
You don't remember, okay.
How I get it. Like, I didn't remember. I didn't see the lecture notes, so I didn't remember how I get a fixed cost if they are giving me a total cost.
Okay, so what do you remember about fixed cost? Anything that you can tell me?
Cost is the cost that doesn't change.
Okay, right. Change with what?
Change varies and fixed cost doesn't vary.
Okay, doesn't vary with what? So there has to be like
quantity, I think.
Good, right? So exactly. So doesn't vary with quantity, which means it is the same, right? Regardless of quantity.
Yeah.
So think back to total cost, which is made up of total what?
Total average cost, total fixed cost and total variable cost.
Okay, good. So if total variable cost is something that varies with quantity, and total fixed cost is something that doesn't vary with quantity, what can you tell me if we are not producing anything? What kind of cost do we have? Do we have any cost?
If we don't produce anything, we have the fixed cost.
And why do you say
we don't have any cost?
We don't have any cost?
If we produce 0, we have the what was the cost that is the rent?
That's your fixed cost, right? So that is
your fixed cost.
Exactly.
So the fixed cost is 1,000.
Yes. Do you see how you got that?
That's the thing that I think a lot about the question, so I don't know like the answer. Like I thought about 1,000, but like I say, no, it's too easy to figure.
It's not like sometimes, they're gonna try to trick you, but sometimes it's really just testing. If like even the basics.
Yeah, right? It's tricky. That's why.
Yeah.
But I
so
understand.
Don't overthink it. Don't think it's gonna have to be like something so hard or difficult, right?
Yeah.
So this is easy, right? But once you figure out that total cost is total fixed cost plus total variable cost, so at 0, even if you are not producing anything, you're always going to have fixed costs to pay for. If you don't produce anything, you don't have any variable costs, but you will always have fixed costs. So if they ever give you some kind of cost at the quantity of 0, you know that is all your fixed cost.
Okay.
So then it's 1,000.
If they tell me what is a variable cost, like what I should do, like because at first it varies like 2,200, then 400, then 600, and then 800.
So that's your marginal cost, right? So that's different.
They asked me like, what is the variable cost?
You can still figure it out. See, remember I think we had one question here that was, yeah, so number 9, right? If you had to do number 9, you would have to figure out the variable costs. So let's see. What do you know from here? You know that this is your total fixed cost. So isn't it the case that, regardless of, how much you're producing, 1, 2, 3, 4, that fixed cost is always going to be there?
Okay.
So what is total? If total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost, isn't it easy to get total variable cost?
Can you repeat?
If look at this here, this part.
Yeah.
So if total cost is the sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost, okay, and here we know that this is 1,000 and it's always gonna be 1,000.
Okay.
So isn't it the case that you can find total variable cost by subtracting the total cost, which was 1,200 at 1, right? Minus 1,000. So you're
1,200 minus, that's what I said, 200.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, 200. Yeah, that was a question. Yeah, I know. So then the next one should be 400.
No.
Because in quantity of 2, the variable cost
is gonna be how much?
400.
600.
Why?
Your marginal cost is not the same as your variable cost.
No, this is total cost. 1,600 minus 1,200.
No, not from your total cost at 1. You're gonna at total cost for the quantity of 2 is 1,600. So you are not doing change in total cost, right?
Oh, okay. So from the third one,
yes,
1,000.
Right. So you're just finding, this number 1,000 is always there. So it's just finding the difference between, at each quantity, the difference between total cost and total fixed cost.
Okay. So the last one should be 2,000.
Okay. Yes. So let me just rewrite this. So variable cost, this is so hard to move. I don't know why I can't erase this. Okay, let's see. Maybe I can. Hold on. Oh, now it's all gone. Great. Okay, it's okay. We can do this. Okay, so variable cost. Okay, so we know that fixed cost. So total cost is
0.
Good.
Then 200.
Mm-hmm.
Then 600.
Yes.
Then 1,200. And the last one 2,000.
Good. So yeah, do you see how that's different than your marginal cost?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the marginal cost is just changes in your variable cost. So if you did this, you would find that those numbers are the same as the marginal cost numbers. Yeah. Okay? If you got the change here.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, do you see how you can figure out the variable cost and the fixed cost? If you're just given total cost, and if they tell you quantity, what is the total cost for 0 quantity, you can figure out everything else.
Yeah.
And then I hope you understood number 3, like you were able to do it not by
number 3.
I'm sorry, not number 9.
Oh yeah, number 9.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so you didn't get this incorrect, so you got it right. So I just wanted to make sure, you see that number 9 is asking you, based on the table above, which shows Chip's cost, if rice sells for 600 a ton, Chip will do what? So this here is an example of where you don't know right away what they're asking you to do from the question, but you had to look at the answer choices, right? So here you see that the price is 600, right? So from the answer choices, you see that they're probably asking you whether he should stay open or shut down. So now you have to find out. This is where we have to find out. Yeah, what happens to price and average variable cost, correct?
Yes.
So price was 600. So as long as price was greater than average variable cost,
you cannot shut down.
Yes, you will still keep producing. So here we're looking at the quantity of 3, right, which is the profit maximizing quantity. So from total variable cost, what is my variable cost for producing 3 tons of rice?
So
look at your numbers. So what is the variable cost for producing 3 tons of rice?
The variable cost for producing 3 should be 600, right? Or 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200, right?
Yeah, 1,200.
1,200. So then, if that's your variable cost, what is your average variable cost for producing?
You should
divide by what?
By quantity.
Good. And which is what?
3.
Good. So then you see that your average variable cost at 3 tons, it's 400. So which is definitely greater than your price of 600. Right. So therefore, that's how you know that you should stay open, because the price is above your minimum average variable cost. Okay. Okay, then the last one I think we had 13. Was number 13.
Okay, so in a perfectly competitive industry, the market price to well, a firm produces at a set level of output where average total cost is 16, marginal cost is 16, and average variable cost is 8. To maximize its profit, the firm should.
Okay, so I know this one has a lot of information, so you shouldn't get overwhelmed by just looking at the question. Take it, one step at a time. Like figure out, what information you have, and what it is that they want you to find out, and what you need in order to get there. So can you do that?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you write down, what information you can.
So, 1 second. Okay, so if the market price of the product is okay, so this is price. Okay, so 1 second.
How are you doing that without drawing marginal cost?
No, like I'm not drawing the marginal cost. Okay. But that's the thing. Now I don't know where to put the
yes,
price.
I understand what the confusion is. So they're giving you all this information, but it's not that much helpful, because you don't know what the level of output is, right? So you have this, which is 12, average total cost. So it says that in a perfectly competitive industry, the market price for the product is 12, and a farm produces at a level of output. So it says that they're producing a level of output where average total cost is 16. What do you know right away? Your average total cost is 16. And how much is your price?
Your price is 12.
Yeah. So are you making loss or profit?
You are making loss.
Loss, exactly, because price is greater than average total cost. So you're gonna put average total cost curve like somewhere
below,
above, right?
Yeah,
so,
above.
Like something.
So something like here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit like this, like, because the minimum has to go through. Yeah.
Okay. So
then you know that this is like at some level, which is like 16.
Yes. So this is 16.
Mm-hmm. And what else do you have information about?
Okay, so I also know that the marginal cost is 16.
Mm-hmm. So we can't really do much with, like knowing the marginal cost here. You can, I guess, show like, yeah, at the, it's this is 12, so
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to show with this because we don't really have information about quantity. But
Yeah.
let's see, like if we can figure this out, without the graph. I know it's easier to see it visually, but say like we can also draw in the average variable cost, which we see here is like lower at 8,
Yeah.
right? And the marginal cost is 16, your price is 12, your average total cost is 16, average variable cost is $8. So a few things, right? You know that this farm is making a loss, right? So therefore, right? So they're making a loss.
Yeah.
But looking at these answer choices, right, to maximize the profit, what should the farm do, right? If they're making a loss, right, the only kind of choice they have in the short run is either shut down or to keep producing. So do they keep producing? Where are you gonna look at for that information?
Yeah, the minimum of the average variable cost.
Okay, so is the price, right, greater or less?
Is above.
Yes, so if the price is greater than the average variable cost, what should you do? Yeah, you should keep producing.
Yeah.
So can you now
it's not the answer.
Exactly.
D.
So you can definitely eliminate D. And now I want you to look at answer choices A and B and tell me what you think about those.
So decrease its selling price or increase its selling price. That's not true. Like,
okay, and why not? So you said that's not what?
That they cannot do that.
Exactly. Why not?
Because it's a perfect competitive.
Exactly. I'm so glad you're understanding this. So this is what you have to do, right? You understood some of it, and now you're gonna go back to the answer choice and see what answer choices you can eliminate. So this is perfect competition. They have no control over price. They take market price as given. Only thing they can do is adjust quantity, right? Okay. So here we see that these two are gone too. So now it's between
C and E.
Exactly. So here, what else do we know? So we know that they should keep producing, but we see that what is happening with our marginal revenue and our marginal cost, which is bigger?
Marginal revenue and marginal cost.
So marginal revenue is how much?
Bigger. The marginal cost is bigger.
How much is your marginal revenue? Yeah, this is 12.
Marginal cost is 16.
Okay, so what is happening? Are you bring in, right, additional $12?
Yeah, exactly.
You sell one more, but that next unit is costing you $16. So you are doing what? You are producing way too much. Where your profit,
your production.
Yeah, so your profit is decreasing. By producing so much, you are decreasing your profit.
So you should decrease your production.
Exactly. So you should decrease your production all the way until MR is equal to MC, right?
Okay, so the answer is C. Like you need to decrease your output.
Yes, but you should still keep producing.
Yeah, okay.
Got it. Okay. All right. So everything else you were comfortable with? Like you didn't feel like you were having to guess?
No, I think that I really understood very well.
That's good. I'm really glad to hear that. I see that you're improving consistently because you keep getting like at least you're at least getting like more than 10 correct. So which is great. I'm just hoping it's gonna improve even further.
Yes.
So that's all you have to do, Max. Just remember, you don't get overwhelmed by, seeing the questions. If they give you too much information, just make sure, you dissect, like, this is what I have, this is what I need to get at. Okay?
Perfect.
Great. All right. So we don't have time to go over the Monopoly review, but hopefully, I'm gonna go over it, a little bit
Yeah.
of review, in lecture on Tuesday. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Max.
Bye.
I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye bye.